Thank you, Ron. Thank you for the very generous introduction. You set me up on a pedestal. If I can meet what you described me, even 50% of it, I'll be glad. But thank you for your very kind and generous introduction. Yeah. And thank you to the organizations involved for inviting me, to give me another chance, share beyond the path joyfully. Yeah. Whatever we've known, whatever we've experienced, and whatever comes to mind on this topic. Yeah. So at the end of it, of my brief chat, brief address, not only type in your questions or ask your questions directly to me, also contribute, yeah, make your comments and give your feedback, yeah. So it's not necessarily just questions from you. I love to hear from you, your reflections, your thinking, or what I've said, how it might have affected you, yeah, so that we joyfully learn together in this precious 90 minutes we have together, okay? Yeah. So today's topic, try to make it the three S's, the self-care versus self-sacrifice, and moving on finally to non-self. Huh? I believe the organizers told me that these are the areas that has a lot of questions have come from the floor, from yourselves as participants, from previous BGF and other meetings, yeah, provided in Kuala Lumpur. And in particular, there are questions in terms of boundaries and in terms of self-compassion as well, which are all related to self-care, self-sacrifice, and non-self, yeah? So I'll begin with self-care, because that's a topic that I think most of you would have heard and read about self-care in so many ways from previous speakers, yeah? So I'll just give an overall view. To start off with, to respond to some of the questions from the past, from yourselves, self-care immediately includes protecting our healthy boundaries, taking care of our boundaries, and taking care of the boundaries of others is part of caring. I was saying that self-care includes being kind, being compassionate, being loving towards ourselves first, taking care of ourselves. Yeah? So, of course, the obvious parts of self-care is to have a balanced, healthy diet, to have regular exercise, yeah, and every night to have good enough sleep, average 8 hours, long enough, deep enough, good quality sleep. And every day to have time and space put aside for an enjoyable, relaxing activity every day. Yeah? For many of us, it's our meditation time. Yeah. For many of us, it's when we indulge in our hobby. Yeah, a creative, relaxing, nourishing hobby, yeah, that nourishes us. For some of us, is having a walk, yeah, and on the walk we are having a walking meditation. Yeah. So, but the important thing is to have it regularly every day, yeah, something to nourish ourselves. And then research have shown, yeah, part of self-care, part of keeping our happiness index, yeah, or even raising our index of well-being, is to maintain our friendships, to maintain and to keep refreshing our friendships. Yeah. And the other part that I didn't mention earlier, but now I can add to it. Yeah? Self-care includes our capacity to ask for help when we need help, not to be shy, to ask for help. Yeah, like just now, Chinka wasn't shy to ask me to help better. Yeah, and not only to ask, but also to receive the help properly. Yeah, to ask and to receive the help that we require is part of our healthy self-care. It's about maintenance of healthy boundaries. So healthy boundaries, which is a psychological term, using the geographical term of boundary, includes our ability to say no. Yeah? When the organizers invited me to give this talk with this topic at this time, I have a choice. I can say no. I can say no to the topic. And I want to change the title of the topic a bit. Yeah. I can say no to the time. It could be another time, another date that suits me better. To respect, yeah, myself, and also to therefore choose, yeah, a time, a space, and that is also best. If it's good for me, it will be good for you as the audience. Yeah. So the ability to say no to demands, to pressure from others, it's a very important part of the healthy boundaries. Sometimes the boundaries has to do with our rights to privacy. If one of you ask me afterwards, how much do I earn every month in income? My reply might not be just the amount of money I earn. My reply might be, what do you think? My reply might be, I wonder why you're asking me that very personal question. So that will be my way of keeping my rights to very private, very personal areas. Yeah? Depending on our relationship, whereas if you are a close colleague, a close friend, and we've talked about money matters many times before, very personally, then we share that quite easily. Yeah, so it depends on the level of our relationship, and of course, always healthy boundaries. Yeah, we protect our values, our virtues, our principles. Yeah? Not to be neglecting, yeah, our values, our virtues in our communication, in our relating with others, yeah? And also respecting the other's perspectives is also part of boundaries, yeah? Respecting the other person's rights to privacy, respecting the other person's values and virtues, yeah, on principles of life. So that also includes in healthy boundaries, especially my patients, or the people who come to me for advice or guidance, and they open up on some sensitive areas. I have to ask for consent. Do they consent to me getting involved? To what extent do they give me consent? To what degree of depth? Yeah? And I also have to give my consent. So even in the first session, in the therapy contract, we have areas of what areas we consent to be involved, consent to even the time frame. Yeah, it starts every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. We finish at about 9:50, and within that 50 minutes, that framework, Yeah, how we operate with each other. We give consent for each other. Yeah, including the payment, including the setting, including what if the session is cancelled by me, or what has to be cancelled or postponed by the patient. Yeah, so there is consent in the contract of the relationship, and that keeps our healthy boundaries. So moving on from self-care, which includes these healthy boundaries, we can look at the issue of self-sacrifice. Very often this term comes up amongst our spiritual Buddhist friends. Now, I would first of all like to say that there are two types of self-sacrifice in life, yeah? But sometimes there's a fine line between the two. There's a healthy self-sacrifice. I healthily sacrifice my bedtime tonight for myself and for all of you, so that it's more convenient for all of you. And I did have a little nap earlier in this evening, so that I can be more awake right now. But I sacrifice, healthily, I feel, for you, for the group, for a good cause. So self-sacrifice, healthy self-sacrifice comes from our generosity. Another obvious self-sacrifice is at a moment of somebody in severe distress or in danger, somebody something quite heroic, like dive into the river to save a drowning person. Yeah. Now that self-sacrifice, that moment of heroism, is a very healthy self-sacrifice. Yeah? The person actually doesn't think about it at that moment. The person just responds, yeah, in that healthy self-sacrifice. But there is more important very self-sacrifice, which is like an over-sacrifice. Yeah? That hurts ourselves when we do that. For instance, martyrdom, extreme martyrdom hurts ourselves, and even the people we're serving, we are martyring for them. We're taking the pain over from them. They don't feel too good in receiving that kind of martyrdom from us. They feel a bit guilty. They feel a bit not comfortable that we've hurt ourselves too much to protect them or to rescue them. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there's unhealthy self-sacrifice. So that is from a disproportionate kind of giving. Yeah? Now we can inadvertently slip into even minor bits of self-sacrifice, sometimes because out of our fears to be rejected. So we say yes, 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 when in fact we can't. Yeah. In a committee meeting, sometimes we have some fellow committee members. So there's always one person in the committee like this. That whatever difficult job everybody doesn't want to do, we ask Ms. or Mr. Self-sacrifice, can you do this for us? And the person will always say yes. The person is again saying yes out of pressure, but out of their own fears that they will be judged in a bad way if they say no, yeah? Or they will feel rejected if they say no, that one of us or the whole committee will turn against them if they say no. Right? So such unhealthy self-sacrifice comes from the submissiveness of the individual. Yeah? That's an area that needs help. And so often that when it is severe, it needs even therapy for the submissiveness, right? To move to healthy assertiveness. So in terms of self-compassion, that is the practice that is central, that is crucial, yeah, to help us move from submissiveness to assertiveness, to stand up for ourselves, right, healthily, and also to move away from aggressiveness. So assertiveness is in the middle, right? Aggressiveness is on one extreme, and submissiveness is on the other extreme. But we all do our best to move to the middle path, which is the assertiveness. And often our practice of self-compassion helps us to bring ourselves into the assertive middle path, yeah, in our interactions with others. It's relatively easy to identify moments when we are selfish and we realize somebody at that moment is at least inadvertently selfish. Yeah? Because selfishness hurts. Selfishness brings pain. Yeah? And it actually hurts and disrespects the other when we are being selfish towards someone. But it actually hurts ourselves and disrespects ourselves. Yeah? So whenever we say or do something that is selfish, we ourselves don't feel good afterwards. Hmm? We ourselves feel, oh, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And there's a very natural, healthy impulse to want to pick up the phone or to get back to the person to say sorry, yeah, or to say what I really meant was, that I'm sorry on that day I was not in the mood, having other problems in my head, so very selfishly I brushed you off, or I said something instead. Yeah? But if someone is regularly selfish, yeah, then it is someone who has got a regular disregard of others, and in a sense, an excessive self-promotion, self-concern, yeah, and regularly extremely selfish people, we can all feel, yeah, that they're manipulative, they're controlling, they're aggressive, they're self-promoting. Yeah? We tend to avoid. We tend to, if there's someone close to us and the position of being able to help them, we try to point it out to them and we try to help them move from that selfish position to something healthier. Yeah? I wonder whether what we really mean to say is. I wonder whether at another time when you're in a better mood, you might be saying instead, yeah, so that kind of gentle help. Because at the moment of selfishness, the individual inadvertently, usually inadvertently, is already unkind. Right? There's the opposite of loving kindness. You're already exercising some cruelty and certainly lacking empathy at that moment. Yeah? Finally, all these concepts or sankaras that I've been sharing with you, self-care, healthy boundaries, self-sacrifice, healthy and unhealthy types of sacrifice, self-compassion, selfishness, they are all mental constructs. Yeah? But at true moments of intimacy, at true moments of relating in a very deep way between two human beings, that at that very moment, both parties benefit. Actually, both parties are in a state of mindfulness and they are in co-mindfulness. And in the co-mindfulness state, the I, the me, and the mind is not present at all. One good example of non-self is sometimes when you are with a very close relative or close friend, and you're having a very intimate chit-chat with each other about something, suddenly you find yourself saying something that you didn't even expect to say. But it's just the right thing to say at that moment. Now that actually comes from your non-self, because that is already in the air between the two of you. And you just happen to be the first person to say it. Yeah? But that comes from the universal. That comes from the space between the two of you. Yeah? It is in the area of the interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say. Yeah? And Martin Buber will say, yeah, non-self, yeah, it's in the I and Tao, but it's not I, it's not Tao, it is the, the in between the I and Tao. That's the non-self. And whenever we act and we speak from that in between, we touch, we move, we grow together. Yeah? Mm. So that's the non-self, yeah, which is part of bhavana, part of meditation, part of mental development. So it's this kind of mental development when we are in deep meditation, when we're reflecting upon ourselves and upon our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations that comes up, and situations and events that goes through our mind, coming from our stream of consciousness, coming from the mind. Yeah? As we reflect, yeah? we actually get into a higher and higher plane of existence. And we're getting more and more spiritual. Yeah? So the non-self occurs in the moments of at one-ment with the other. Yeah? The at one-ment, the two souls in communion with each other. That's when the wisdom and the compassion is flowing, and it's mutually beneficial to each other. Yeah? So that's towards enlightenment, moments of enlightenment, moments of deep engagement that moves both parties to a higher and higher level of being human together. Yeah? And that's another way of putting it. The non-self is also, finally, we see reality as reality. We don't accept reality as reality. It is, in Buddhist meditation terms, it's suchness. Such is such. Such is such. Such is the human condition. Now we understand, so like that, because of the circumstances and conditions from the past. And right now we understand that's why that happened, and that's such is such, such is such. And we accept it. Yeah. So it is towards anatta, yeah, towards, so there is, we can't capture it and we can't cling on to that moment. We can't fix it, because in the no self state, which is very deep, and wisdom and compassion flows naturally. It is moment to moment. Yeah, it keeps evolving. The next moment something else. The next moment something else. Yeah. So in our exchange, whether in the therapy setting, whether in meditation, whether in moments of deep engagement with someone else, we touch upon, we have a glimpse of the non-self. And of course, we develop this state of mind, this state of being, by renunciation, letting go, craving, letting go desires, to renunciate, to let go material things, to let go uh, craving for more pleasure. Yeah? And of course, as we develop more and more compassion, and that's why suffering itself is very useful. Pain itself is very useful. Right? Remember, no mud, no lotus. Yeah? So through pain, through dukkha, and the three types of dukkha in life, dukkha dukkha, dukkha vaparina, and dukkha sankharas. Through the suffering, our compassion arises, yeah? and through removing our delusions, yeah? Removing our distortions of reality, yeah? We become wiser and wiser. So through renunciation of our cravings, through compassion instead of cruelty or anger or hatred, and through wisdom instead of delusions, when we cultivate these three aspects, yeah? We are more and more dwelling in non-self, which is good for ourselves, good for others, good for humanity, good for everyone. So ultimately, non-self is the path, right? To something that is long-lasting, that's durable. And in terms of happiness, it's not the hedonic happiness, it's the eudaimonic happiness, which is the sustained, stable, underlying peace, calmness, contentment, obvious moments of bliss or joy that arises. That's in the area of the non-self. So I've covered quite a number of S's. Self-care, self-sacrifice, self-compassion, selfishness, and finally the concept of non-self. And these are the topics that have been requested from previous questions arising from yourselves. So I'll now hand over to Yvonne to chair this section, to be the moderator for this dialogue between yourselves and me now. Over to you, Yvonne.